The Eagles traded up to take Jalen Carter in the top 10 last April because he presented a truly unique skill set at the position. His blend of athleticism, strength, power, and football intelligence all combined to make him a powerhouse on the inside. And in this video, we're not only going to look at how all of those traits popped throughout the course of the season last year, but also show you what could be in store for him here in 2024. And when you look at Carter's raw numbers last year, they were all impressive. He finished with 6 sacks, which was tied for 4th most amongst all rookies last season. According to Next Gen Stats, his 52 QB pressures led all rookie defensive tackles. And then according to Pro Football Focus, his 41 hurries ranked second amongst first-year defensive linemen. And those are all good numbers when you look at them at face value. But when you dive into the efficiency metrics and all the movement data on top of it, that's where Carter's performance really pops. Now, in college, Carter was known for his explosiveness, his ability to get off the ball. He just moved different than other players at his position. And that quickness showed up early and often in his first season in Philadelphia. The move where he most put that on display, though, that was his inside club move, where Carter would fly out of his stance and he would swing that inside arm and knock opponents off balance while swimming past them with his outside hand. Now, this was his first snap in his first preseason game. First time he ever takes the field as a pro player. It's 3rd and long, and he wins with that exact move to get a pressure to force an incomplete pass. And throughout the season, this was Carter's go-to rush move, especially in the first half. It proved to be very effective for him time and time again. Now, Next Gen, they use GPS tracking to measure a defender's get-off at the snap. How quickly do they get out of their stance? How fast are they able to get into the backfield to make a play? And this season, Jalen Carter's average get-off time was 0.86 seconds. Not only was that the best of any rookie defensive tackle, but it was tied with Aaron Donald, a future Hall of Famer, for the second fastest in the entire league at the position, behind only Chris Jones. So you're talking upper tier get-off at the snap for Jalen Carter. And that lethal first step put immediate stress on offensive lines from the jump. Next Gen Stats has a stat that they refer to as quick pressures, which they define as a quarterback pressure that happens in under 2.5 seconds. And not only was Carter's 24 quick pressures far and away the most of any rookie this year, but it was up there alongside some of the top players at the defensive tackle position in the entire league. And that fast first step off the ball was really important for Carter, not only as a pass rusher, but as a run defender as well. And you're going to see in some of these clips here, his ability to get off the ball. There are so many examples of him olaying offensive linemen, flying out of his stance and either getting into the backfield or crossing a blocker's face to try and impact and disrupt the play before it approached the line of scrimmage. And not only did he make plays on his own there, but those movement skills helped create wide open lanes for linebackers on run blitzes as well, as you see here on this safety in the first half of the season. Now, having first step quickness is really important, but honestly, that's table stakes if you're going to be a good defensive lineman, that first step. If you're going to be great, though, you need to have more tools in your bag. And that's what brings me to what I feel is the most underrated quality of his game, and that's Jalen Carter's football intelligence. And to me, where that really shows up with Carter is his understanding of how the offensive line is looking to block him on any given rep and then attacking that scheme. And this was something we saw in college as well, but there were examples last season in 2023. Now, just really quickly to break down protection, there are two sides to every protection scheme for an offensive line. There is a slide side, which utilizes zone blocking. All of the offensive linemen, they slide in one direction and pick up the player that comes into that gap. Now, here you see a 3-man slide from the offensive line, but it could also be a 4-man slide where you've got 4 guys going that way. Sometimes you even see a full slide where all 5 offensive linemen slide one way. But here in this one, like I said, you see a 3-man slide from the offensive line. Now, opposite the slide side, you have what is called the man-to-man, the man side of the protection, which is exactly how it sounds. This is man-to-man protection, one-on-one. This is how almost every protection scheme is structured in a pure drop-back pass situation. But Which way is the offensive line going to slide on any given play? Well, there are some factors there. It could be the design of the play, the location of the running back in the backfield, because that could determine which way the offensive line is going to slide. Or if you have a legit pass rush threat on the interior, you'll ask your center to slide that way to give the guard a little bit of help on the inside with what then can turn into a potential 2-on-1 situation. Now, when the center slides towards a defensive tackle that way, most media services will tag that as a double team. And Jalen Carter was doubled at the second highest rate of any rookie this year, with nearly half of his pass rush snaps garnering extra attention, according to Next Gen Stats. Carter drawing those double teams helped create one-on-ones for others along the defensive front. But where the football intelligence portion of Carter's game comes into play here is his understanding of which way the line was sliding and then which move to lean into based off of that knowledge. And this is a great example against the Rams, where Carter is lined up as a nose tackle. He's a tilted, what you would call a 2-eye technique, lined up on the inside shoulder of the guard. And the Rams, they are sliding the center that way. So remember, this is zone blocking on that side of the line, right? The tackle has the C gap, the guard has the B gap, the center has the A gap. And with Carter lined up on the inside shoulder of the guard, he is already on the far side of that gap. And with his explosiveness, we know that he can fly into the backfield in a flash at the snap of the ball, right? So this center, he has to snap the ball and get on his horse to keep Carter from doing that. And look at Carter's body language at the snap of the ball. He looks like he is going upfield in that direction. He's chasing that inside shoulder of the guard, and the center sees that. He has to be really aggressive with his pass set. He's got to fly out of his stance to get over there and get in between Jalen and the quarterback, Matthew Stafford. But here's the beauty of Carter. He knows this, and he laid a trap for the center. And the center, he bought it hook, line, and sinker, because on his second step, watch Carter, he throws that violent club with his inside arm, rocking the center and leaning into his momentum to knock him completely off balance as Carter quickly swims by him. He knifes into the backfield. He picks up a sack from minus 11 yards. And the best pass rushers always have a plan of attack when they come off the ball. They have an understanding of how their opponent is going to block them, and then they look to attack it. This pass rush plan can also be put on display with a player's ability to string moves together as a rusher, and we saw that from Carter as well this past season. Here he is early on against Tampa Bay, lined up in the same 2-eye technique on the inside shoulder of the guard. Now, at the snap, he flies off the ball, and he beats the guard with a quick arm over move, but the center is right there on this slide protection to get between Jalen and quarterback Baker Mayfield. Now, this is when Carter transitions from his speed, that arm over move where he's going to lean on that first step. He's got the speed rush early, but he converts so quickly into more of a power rush as he finds himself belly to belly with this center. His feet don't stop, and he's working to get his hands back inside. He's still consistently gaining ground, and he gets into Mayfield's face before he and Fletcher Cox combine for the sack. That instant transition from speed to power. There was no wasted movement. There was no wasted steps. There was no hitch there. There was no delay in going from that speed instantly to power. That is really well thought out rush from Jalen Carter. That's an instinctual play from the rookie defensive tackle, then rookie defensive tackle. And a few weeks later against Dallas, this time you're going to see a one-on-one rush against an all-pro, Zach Martin, another potential future Hall of Famer here in Zach Martin. Carter tries to work that big club move, the one that he's worked so often on the inside. But watch Martin. He's going to shut the door on it. He locks onto Jalen with his inside hand. But again, look at how fast Carter transitions from that inside move. He gets that outside arm and immediately plants it on Martin's collarbone and drives him backwards into the pocket. This play doesn't result in a sack. It's not a pressure. It's not a hurry because of how fast the ball comes out, but this is a good rush from Carter, and to me, it's a good sign of his upward trajectory as a player. It's exactly the kind of flash, the kind of rep you want to see from a rookie, is that understanding of how to quickly transition from speed to power, from power to speed, and you want to be able to see that relentlessness over and over and over again. Now, we've talked about Carter's burst off the ball and his rush plan, and I want to quickly hit on a couple of other pass rush points as well with him, because he's got natural power to his game. He's not not a one-trick pony as a pass rusher. He's got that explosiveness off the ball, over 310 pounds. He packs a punch on contact, and he showed the ability to overwhelm blockers on contact as a rookie. There are some really impressive reps where he just blows through an opponent. He attacks half a man, he gets into the backfield, and that's important because it really adds the potential for even more variety as a rusher down the road as he continues to expand that pass rush repertoire. Now, lastly, this is one of the most important things for me, his effort. Carter made some outstanding plays in pursuit last season. And you follow in the footsteps of veterans like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, still here in Philadelphia. Jalen Carter, he was relentless in chasing the action on a number of plays this past year. And when he met the ball carrier outside the tackle box, he often arrived with bad intentions on his mind, whether he was diagnosing screens, pursuing perimeter run plays, or chasing down quick throws. Carter's effort and his motor showed up time and time again when rewatching all of his film as a rookie. And that effort and toughness was put on display in the run game as well, where Carter was consistently impactful this year. And don't let the box score fool you with this category, because while Jalen didn't rack up TFLs or stops at the line of scrimmage last year, he was consistently changing the line of scrimmage, creating knockback on contact, forcing ball carriers off their initial path, and just generally being a disruptive force on the inside. And we know that PFF grades players on every play, and sure, you can get into a debate on how seriously to take those grades, but I do find this one stat notable. Carter received a positive run defense grade from PFF on 25.2% of his snaps last season. That was not only by far the highest of all qualifying rookie defensive tackles, but it also placed him in the top 10 amongst all defensive tackles in the NFL last season. So again, just kind of showing the impact he had against the run. And while doing some research for this piece, one grounding piece of information really stood out to me, and I wanted to close with this. It's hard for rookie defensive tackles to come right in and have an impact. That's just reality. If you look at the All-Pro and the Pro Bowl list from last year at the position, you have seen names, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, DeForest Buckner. You know the names that you expect to see on that list. And when you compare their numbers at when they were rookies to Jalen Carter's last year, Carter blew them out of the water in most, if not all, of these metrics. And that is a great, great sign for a player who, if he can continue to build off of this, should develop into one of the top defensive tackles in the entire NFL. Really excited to see what Jalen Carter can do for an encore this season as a sophomore. If he could take those next steps and puts the work in to get better in a lot of these areas, he's got the ability to turn into one of the most dominant players in the league.